The income tax, by the way, didn't start with the 16th Amendment. It started in 1862 to fund the Civil War. Since it was a consistent revenue stream, the income tax was sold to the people with a warning that it was necessary, the promise that it would be limited to a person's income, and was scheduled to expire in 1870. However, that did not make it constitutional. Most likely due to the urgencies of the war, though, this tax was never challenged in court. Then in 1894, Republican Senator John Sherman argued that the income tax should become permanent. The consumption taxes of the day were not fair, and that the burden of this tax should be borne by the wealthy rather than by everyone. Sound familiar? The Revenue Act, or Wilson-Gorman Tariff of 1894, instituted a 2% tax on all income over $4,000, approximately $144,000 in 2024 dollars. The Supreme Court in 1895 found this tax to be unconstitutional in the case Pollock versus Farmers Loan and Trust Company. The tax imposed by sections 27 to 37 inclusive of the Act of 1894, so far as it falls on the income of real estate and of personal property, being a direct tax within the meaning of the Constitution, and therefore unconstitutional and void because not apportioned according to representation. All those sections constituting one entire scheme of taxation are necessarily invalid. If the 1894 income tax was unconstitutional, does that mean that the 1862 tax was as well? In 1906 and 1908, two prominent members of the Republican Party voiced their support for an income tax. Theodore Roosevelt said, "A graduated income tax of the proper type would be a desirable feature of federal taxation, and it is to be hoped that one may be devised which the Supreme Court will declare constitutional." Now, Roosevelt believed in a graduated income tax like the one we have today. He thought it was a desirable feature of federal taxation. Now, William Howard Taft said, "I believe that an income tax, when the protective system of customs and the internal revenue tax shall not furnish enough for government needs, can and should be devised which, under the decision of the Supreme Court, will conform to the Constitution." It appears Taft merely saw an income tax as a source of revenue for the federal government, something to supplement the duties and tariffs already imposed. It was not that the federal government was spending too much money, but how much can the federal government suck from the people? Did you notice that both of these men, one president, another to be president, seemed to consider little else but the money an income tax would bring into the government's coffers? Did they even consider the impact on society, our economy, or the workforce in general? If so, I have found no evidence to that effect. There was one consideration other than the desire for other people's money that both men expressed: getting it past the Supreme Court. Now, that would require an amendment to the Constitution. On July 12, 1909, Congress passed a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution of the United States to allow Congress to tax income without apportionment. On February 3, 1913, Delaware became the 36th state to ratify the proposed amendment, making it the 16th Amendment to the Constitution and forever changing the lives of the American people.